So, previous class we just learned the selection procedure, recruitment procedure we completed, and then we came on to the selection procedure and we saw a few steps in the selection. Now, going on further, after selection, they are supposed to be trained. Once they hire the employee, they are supposed to be trained because every company will have their own way of working. Now, if you take for example, if you're working in a software company and you want to change yourself into a hardware company, or you want to change yourself into an accounting firm, so every the different accounting firm will have other training to be provided. The software used by the accounting firm will be different. The way they put forth the a meeting will be different, and how you are welcomed into the organization will be different. So everything will have their own ways of doing things. So what is this training? Let us understand. So according to Dale S. Beach, okay, this is one person who has given the definition of training: the organized procedure by which people learn knowledge and skill for a definite purpose. So simply they will not put them into training. There will be a purpose. Okay, so if you want to get into an finance department, so you have to understand how to work on Excel sheets, how to work on Tally, how to work on other ERP systems, SAP systems. So if you know all this, then only you will be eligible to work in the company. So for all that softwares, they will not teach you from basic. It is only what that company has been using from long time, and a few uh, detailed tools which they are trying to work on. So basics the employee must have learned way before, and he must know how to apply them. Fine. Apart from that, when you get into the company, they will only train you what that business is purposefully using. That's all is the training part. Now, what is the importance of training? Why do they do this training? You would have learned 3 years of degree, you would have learned so many papers, accounts papers, financial management papers, cost accounting, taxation, retailing, many other papers you would have learned, or you would have learned about stock market also. But then, why do they train you again once you get into the company? So let us understand that by importance. Achieves higher service standards. So if I make it very familiar to the employee that my company is going to work like this only, then employee will also understand what he should do and what he should not do. So if it is a college, then the discipline is compulsory there, and the students has to be on time to the college. They have to finish their classes and leave. They are expected to participate in the programs. All these are known. So we conduct something called, in colleges we conduct something called orientation day or opening day. That day is to create awareness in the students, to say these, we are going to do all of this to you and you are expected to follow all these rules. Similarly, companies also have such things, but their orientation time will go for 2 to 3 months. So that is a first importance. Then provides information for newcomers. So that is what that whatever is information about the company, that will be given by the people. Okay, so that is another importance. Okay, so then refreshes memory of old employees. Suppose if a person has left the company and he has come back again. Okay, so that person, it will remind him what all they had learned in the company and how they had worked in the company. So that's going to give him a nice memory journey again. Then achieves learning about achieves learning about new things. So always learning should be part of the work. Learning should be part of your life. Now, especially in this competitive world, it is important for you to be open to learning. No matter where you go, which job you opt for, or which other course you go for, always be open to learning. Don't close your mind saying, okay, I know this, only so much is being accepted. Apart from this, I don't want to change anything. That should not be your attitude. So if you're open to learning, if you're open for that, new information to come into you, that is when you will grow, your thoughts will grow. In return, the company will also grow along with you. So that is a very positive sign of an employee. Then reduces mistake and minimizes cost. If I don't give them any information about the company and I blindly say them go and work in the company and they do mistakes, and in companies mistakes will not be free of cost. Every mistake will have a cost attached to that, because the company will be spending lot of money on each job that they are giving to you. Okay, so if you do any mistake in the company, then that amount of loss what you have what you made company incur might be taken from your salary, or you might be given some other punishments in that. But then that is not a good sign, and that is why training is being given to the employees. Then opportunity for staff feedback or suggestions for improvements. So training, once they do the training, they will ask you how is the training procedure, did you like, you want to give any changes, or would you like to give more suggestions, okay, or feedback. See, suggestions might be of any sort. Feedback means feedback is not only positive in nature all the time or negative in nature all the time. It can be both. Okay, when you're saying feedback means it is open. It says if whatever you feel and whatever you want to say it out. So that is the feedback that you have to give. Or suggestions. Suggestions means any area of improvement. You can say, okay, the training would have been happened in a better way. In which part of the training you felt you were not comfortable, you can say that. Or if you didn't like any system of the company, you can mention that. Okay, so all that opportunity is given in the training. Then improves communication and relationship, and you will have a better teamwork. Now why better teamwork? Because in training, from the training time only, they will make lot of teams. You will have lot and lot of tasks that will be given, very very interesting tasks that will be given to you, and you will be trained. A real time scenario will be created for you, and you will be trained. So once they do that, you will be able to join one in a team and do the work. So that is the next importance. And the last importance is maintains qualified products or services. So the company also has to make sure that their employees are qualified enough to work in the organization, so that they can give the best quality product or service to the customer. So all of these are importance of training. Any doubts in the training and its importance? Everybody understood that slide? Now, going on further are different methods of training. So let us see what are the methods of training. First one, on the job training. Now in on the job training, it is known as OJT. Now here you will be already working in the organization. Okay, once you join the company, you will start working directly, and when you're working, you will be taught how to work. That is on the job training. So here they will not keep you aside for training for 1 month or 2 months. They will ask you to immediately join the work, and you will have one superior or one supporting person who will come and help you and say you what you're supposed to do the job. So that will be your on the job training. Then second type of training is vestibule training. Now here in vestibule training, they will set up separate center like a real company. Now that real company conditions will be given, and they will train you in such a level that you should be able to do any work in the company. That is vestibule training. It's a very good form of training, because if you're working with the machinery and all in the main unit, then you cannot put them on the job training, because handling machinery is not an easy task. You have to be very very careful with that. So in such scenario, they'll put them under vestibule training, so they know how to work on the machinery, and then they can go and work on the main machinery. If at all they do any mistakes, there is room for correction of the mistakes. So that will be your vestibule training. Then the third type of training is apprenticeship. Now, apprenticeship is a very old form of training. Now, here you can see people like doctors, engineers, goldsmith, chartered accountants, company secretaries, CMA professionals, any sort of professionals, lawyers, all of them will undergo apprenticeship. Okay, now in apprenticeship nowadays they're almost called like articleship also for few of the professional, but it all comes under apprenticeship. Now here what will happen, they will directly work under the professional. So when they work directly under the professional, they will know in and out of whatever is happening in the company or how the work is supposed to be conducted. So that is your apprenticeship. Now apprenticeship has a apprenticeship act only. Okay, there's a separate act, like how you have contract act and how you have sales of goods act. Okay, or you can talk about customer protection act and all that. Similarly apprenticeship has apprenticeship act. Now in apprenticeship act, they have defined how the training has to go on, how the salary is to be provided, but salaries for apprenticeship will be very less because they are there to learn the work and do the work. Once they finish apprenticeship, then they can go for the full time job and get the salary. Okay, so that is all apprenticeship. Okay, any doubt in the first three types of training? Did you all understand on the job training, vestibule training, and apprenticeship? Okay, now let us go for the next one, classroom training. Classroom training is what we do for you people. Okay, now here we will be using PPTs, videos, we do a discussion kind of classroom training, or you had this career edge program where they used to come down and conduct a lot of games inside the class for you to learn. All these are classroom teaching. You are put inside a classroom with four walls, you are made to sit systematically, and you are taught about the topic. So that is called as classroom training. Then the last one is internship. Now internship is usually with the companies. Now internship, what happens is companies will try to cover up their employee expenses. They would want freshers for some small jobs. Now that is internships. Now in if you happen to be an intern in a company, you will be working for a company for some small part of the department, but still you will be able to learn a lot practically because internships are directly done in the company. So you will know how the company environment is, who are the people who are superior to you and whom you have to report, how the work has to be done, in what way you should communicate. Okay, formal communication, how it has to be done, informally, how you have to communicate, how you have to document. See, documentation is important when you get into a job. Okay, how do you document all of your work? That is also important in the training. So all this internship will teach you about the documentation and the work and the environment. So these are the 5 different methods of training. Okay, any doubts in that slide? Any part of it did you didn't understand and you want me to repeat? Okay, everybody understood. So let's continue. The next one, the next concept is performance appraisal. Now we recruited the person, we selected them very beautifully, we trained them. Now they are working very good. Now after 1 year or they have performed very well in their job, and we want to appreciate them for their work. That is done by performance appraisal. So let us understand what is performance appraisal. Now according to Dale S. Beach, again the same person is giving the definition, performance appraisal is a systematic evaluation of the individual with respect to his or her performance on the job and his or her potential for development. If you simply do your own job, nobody is going to appreciate you. If you try something out of the box, or if you want to do something extra for the organization, then that will be your appraisal of the performance. Okay, suppose you were supposed to finish 10 files in a day, and you finished 20 files today, and you continue to finish 20 files every day. So the complete job has been completed before 20 days. Understood? So I will repeat the example again. You were supposed to complete 10 files every day in a normal scenario, but you're very very efficient. You're able to complete 20 files in one day. So overall your work will be finished early if you do the work like that. So that time your performance have been appraised, or you are very very efficient in your work. So that is known as performance appraisal. Now for this performance appraisal, for this performance, they're going to give you appraisal. They're going to respect you with some maybe monetary benefits or non-monetary benefits. They will promote you, or they'll give you extra incentive. They will give you some coupon where you can buy something. So all that is a form of appreciation given to you. So let us see what are the benefits of appraisal. Appraisal provides information upon which promotion and salary decision can be made. So salary can be decided based on their performances. So everywhere based on the performance only they will give you the hike. Without performance nobody is going to give you the hike. Okay, next. Appraisal provides an opportunity for manager and his or her subordinates to sit down and review subordinates' work-related behavior. Now, many of them will have some or the other problem in attitude or the way they work, or they'll have problem with some colleague, or they'll have problem with their superior, or below them whoever are working. So, a manager should get everybody sit down and discuss what is the problem and what are the positives. Both has to be discussed. Then appraisal provides a good opportunity to review the person's career plans in light of his or her exhibited strengths and weaknesses. So here whenever they appraise you, they will have to rethink on, okay, now you are in the position of let's say you're in the position of A. Okay, now the next higher position is in the position of B. Fine, or we will take something, we'll take the other way around for you to understand it much easier. Okay, you were in the position of C. Now you are eligible in the to the position of B, and in this company to jump from C to B it is very very difficult. Okay, so if your position from C to B, if it changes, it will also improve your career. Career on a whole will give you more money, it will give you more respect, it will you will be able to perform better, which is at the end of the day is you feel good about it. So appraisal will provide such good opportunities for you to improve your career, and you can also show your strength to the with regard to the organization. So those are the benefits of appraisal. Okay, any doubts in this performance appraisal slide? Did you all understand what does performance appraisal mean? Okay, to just revise around once again the slide, here if an employee performs better in the organization, I will respect them by appreciating, or I'll say, okay, good job, keep this up. Let us go on and work together like this only. And I will say, okay, now since you have done the job very well, now take this coupon, go buy whatever you like, or take this money. This is extra money apart from your salary because you have performed very well. That is performance appraisal. Now once you do performance appraisal, the benefit is you can get promotion, your salary will increase. Then the manager can call you if you're very very good, you can go to the next higher position. And if that next higher position is really good, it can change your life also, because your career is improving. So based on your performance, they are giving you promotion or appreciating you by sending to the next level in the organization. So that is performance appraisal. I hope that is clear to everybody now. Okay, so next, types of performance appraisal. Very, very important question from exam point of view. 14 marks, which is being asked many times in the paper. Okay, so let us quickly see what are the types of performance appraisal. There is more and more innovation on performance appraisal techniques day by day, but how much ever is given to us, let us concentrate on that. So first one is essay appraisal. Now here in essay appraisal, what will happen is they will ask us to write about yourself. Like they'll do an exercise saying, they'll give a sheet of paper, they'll say, now write about yourself. What are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, please write it down. Okay, now here when they write about the strength, many people hesitate to write about weakness also. It's something like you're doing your SWOT analysis here. So in this, giving out strengths and weaknesses is nothing wrong, because the employer will try to help you in improving yourself. It is something like how we teachers help out students in improving in any interested field that they want to. Okay, so it's like a relationship between a professor and a student, or teacher and a student, where the student would like to get the guidance from the teacher. It is similar to that way. Once they see the strength and weaknesses, then they will see all the weak points, and they will see all the strengths of the employee. After that, they will rate all that. Okay, they will rate all that. Now how do they rate? Let us see few of the factors. How do they rate? Job knowledge and potential of employee. Now if I want to hire anybody into my company, I will first see if you are knowledgeable about the job that I am taking you for. If I am taking you for let's take for example, if I am taking you for a balance sheet analysis, you should be able to analyze the balance sheet of my company. Or if I am taking you to just write the vouchers, you should have experience in writing the vouchers. So job knowledge is very important. And I should also see what is your potential. Are you capable of doing the job or not? That is also important to check. Then another criteria is employees' understanding of company's programs, policy, and objectives. Now, in a company, you cannot say breaking the rules is good. No, they will throw you out of the company. When there are company rules and objectives and programs, kindly follow that. If you do not follow that, in extreme cases, they can file a complaint on the employee also, if it goes on to a negative effect. So when if you understand how the company works, then it is good for you to work peacefully in the company. So that is how responsible you are supposed to be. Then, employees' relationship with co-workers and superiors. You have to know what is your tone that you are supposed to speak with your superior, and what is your tone that you have to speak with your co-workers or someone below you. You should not shout on someone below you, because they are also human being and they are also working along with you. So you should have a neutral tone with everybody. Neutral tone is you're neither too nice nor you're too harsh. Okay, normal tone has to be kept. Then the employee's general planning, organizing, and controlling ability. Now, how are you going to plan your work? They will say, okay, you have 5 projects under you. Now, plan out how are you going to finish 5 projects as early as possible. So, you have to plan. You have to see how many team members you have. How are you going to divide the work, and how you're supposed to get the work done from the employee. Just because you say everybody will not work. Okay, so you have to have the capacity to get the work done from the employees. Then the attitudes and perception of the employee in general. So what do they think about the company? If they have satisfaction about the company, everybody is fine, they're all happy about the company. But if they don't have satisfaction, they're frustrated about the company, then it's a the wrong message goes to the outside people, and that should not happen. That is not a mistake of the company, but it's a mistake of a employee. If he is working in a company, he should know what he should speak and what he should not speak. So that attitudes and perception of employee is also one of the criteria for them to promote the person to the next stage. Okay, so this is first type of performance appraisal. Then the second method is ranking method. In ranking method, you have two types. One is straight ranking method, the other is paired comparison ranking. Now in straight ranking method, let's take for example, there are 5 employees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 employees. Okay. Now I am gonna just give them ranks directly. Okay. Who is the most valuable person? Who is the most efficient person will be ranked first, and who is the least valuable person, who is very lazy, who is not doing any work, that person will be rated 5. Okay, so this is the straight ranking method. Now in this I will clear cut will get to know who is good and who is bad. If they are too bad, I will ask them, please don't come to the company from tomorrow, I will fire them. Okay, so that is straight ranking method. Next, paired comparison ranking. Paired comparison means I will take employee number 1, I will compare employee number 1 to employee 2. I will compare 1 with 3, 1 with 4, 1 with 5. Now I will see when I compare 1 with all the other 4, I will see who is better. Okay, this is analysis of employee number 1. Now same thing I will do for 2. I will take employee number 2, I will compare with 1, 3, 4, 5. Then again I will see who is better. Then again I'll do the same procedure for 3, same procedure for 4, and same procedure for 5. Okay, so that is paired comparison ranking. I take one person and compare other people of the same team. How are they working? So that will give me a clear idea about who is working better and who is actually working in the organization. So this is ranking method, straight ranking method, paired ranking method. Straight ranking method, directly I will give you ranks, who is the best worker and who is the worst worker. Then when it comes to paired comparison, in a team, I will compare them and I will give them the ranking. Okay, so these are the first two methods of performance appraisal. Clear with the first two methods? Any doubts in first two methods? Okay, now let us quickly finish up the rest of the methods also. Now going on further, we have factor comparison method. Okay, this is the next method of performance appraisal. Now in factor comparison method, they will put down certain factors. Okay, they will say, okay, the employee must be punctual. This is just an example. Their factors will be, much better. Okay, punctual. Then they will say the employee must have a leadership quality, the employee must be hardworking, the employee must be responsible and dependable. They will put 1, 2, 3, 4 factors, and then they will go on putting the rating next to that. It is something like how we judge, how we judge a dance event or a singing event. Like that, they will have the criteria where individually they will be given marks and rated. Okay, so that is the factor comparison method. I come up with the factors, key factors, and I rate you according to the factors, and then I compare between two employees to see who is the better person, and I will keep only the better person. Okay, that is factor comparison method. Next, graphic rating scales. Now, graphic rating scales is most commonly used method. Now, what is that most commonly used method is, now whatever factors which we saw here above in the factor comparison method, all these factors will be put up on a graphic scale. Okay, now in this graphic scale, they will see, okay, one employee is able to do so much job in one day. Okay, if is his work really good or not, I will put give a rating. I will say 1 to 5 will be the rating. 1 to 5 will be the rating. 1 I will say very good, the 2 I will say good, 3 will be neutral, 4 will be, let's say, bad, and 5 will be very bad. Okay, now on this I will rate, okay, this person is very punctual to the office. Yes, okay, very good. Then I will again include other qualities like maturity, is he able to understand the company scenario. Now if he doesn't, if he's not able to understand company scenario, he would come up with some other problem, and he would create the issues. Okay, so that is also there. So the employees, if they are matured enough, then it is easy for us to manage them. Okay, so that is graphic rating scales. So again here, the quality of his work is divided into number of factors, and that factors will be rated and evaluated and then discussed with the employee. So that will be the graphic rating scales. These all have very similar form of rating, but at in depth some point they will have a little difference. That's all. Okay, then next one is field review method. Now field review method is something like, you actually get into the company, you go and have a conversation with the superiors of the employee. Now suppose the HR manager does this work. Now what he does is, he goes and sits with the manager, and he asks about the each and every employee, and they will take all this feedback from not only the manager, but your co-worker, maybe your colleague also, they can take the feedback. Apart from you, your surrounding, whoever are there, all of them feedback, all of their feedback will be considered. Okay, now once they get all that feedback, they will review all the feedback. Okay, once they review the feedback, they will know, okay, are you a really good person, should I keep you in the organization, or you have a very bad feedback where you have to send everybody. Clear? So that is your field review method. Then group appraisal. Now group appraisal is, whole team is getting promoted here. So what they do is, they will sit down and discuss with the whole team what is the good work and the bad work that has been done. Students, kindly mute yourself. Okay, so this whole group will be discussed. They will make certain decisions, and before decisions they'll do lot of discussions, and they will apprise the whole team here. Okay, let's say there one team, team A is working on a project, and the team A consists of 5 people. So all the 5 of them will get the promotion. So that is group appraisal method. Now in this method, it is free of bias, because there will be let's say there'll be 10 people who actually will do the discussion, and they will come to a decision. So it is all people together who are trying to give you good positions. That is group appraisal method. And the last method is forced choice method. Now in forced choice method, what will happen is, the rating elements of descriptive statements, whichever is best for you, that will be given. So that will be your forced choice method. Here they will make sure they rate you properly. Very strict rating will be happening. Okay, the strict rating which happens, and they will say, now These are the ratings for you. Now what do you think you are going to do now, or to explain it in a more easier way? Okay, this forced choice method, to explain it in a more easier way, so they will give you something like a test. Okay, now so in that test they will give you a case study. That case study, you with the options, it's something like your MCQ test. Now I will call one of you. Let's say I am calling A. I'm calling A. Now, A will be given a test. Now, that test will have a question and answer. Answer is multiple choice. Now, you are supposed to tick one of the option by reading the question. Now, once you tick one of the option, I will analyze what is your thinking grounds. How are you going to think? All that I will analyze. These are psychological tests. Okay, now this decision making will help me understand, oh, is this employee is in the right mind, or is he doing things properly? All that I will be able to know once you answer these MCQ questions. So that will be forced choice method. You cannot put your own mind into the question, but you're just picking up one answer from the MCQ. So that will be your forced choice method. Okay, so these are the next three methods. Any doubt in this slide? Did you all understand the next three? That is field review method, group appraisal, and forced choice. Any doubts until here? So let us see the last three methods of performance appraisal. First one is checklist method. Okay, checklist method means I will make a checklist of what all I should do, and then I will go and give it to them so they can pick whatever they feel about it. Here it is very similar to forced choice method. In forced choice method, what did we do? We gave a question, we gave four options, we told tick one answer from four options. Your answer may be something different, but you are forced to tick in that four options only. Similarly, checklist method also, I will give you a question and I'll say, I agree, I am neutral, I don't agree. Like this, I will give you the options. And you will tick for one of the options there. So that will not give me a complete picture, but somewhere I will be able to understand, are you a negative or a positive person? Okay, so that is a checklist. Now in checklist there are many variety of checklists that can be done. Okay, this checklist for performance appraisal is different, checklist for projects are different, checklist for studies are also different. So that is your checklist method. You just prepare a list and give it to the employee for them to give their reviews and their ratings. So that is checklist. Then critical incident method. Critical incident method is like they will create a situation for you and they will observe how you are behaving. Now in a team, let's say the project was supposed to be, okay, the project was supposed to be launched today. Let's say we are a software company, a mobile company, where we are launching a mobile game. Now, when we are launching a mobile game, we have to be well prepared with in and out of the game for the launch, right? But everything was good until yesterday evening, but today morning, suddenly something went missing. Now, they will observe how the employee is going to behave in such critical situations. If they are okay to if they handle it very calmly, and if they do the things very easily, somehow find some solution and get it done, then that also will be judged upon. Okay, so critical incident method is very effective method when it comes to performance appraisal, because in when you put an employee into certain situation, their real colors come out. You cannot be fake all the time about whatever you're speaking about. So in some or the other situation, the person will open up. So that is your critical incident method. Then the last appraisal method is forced distribution. Now in this forced distribution, again they will make sure that just a second. Okay, in this forced distribution, what they are trying to do is, again they will have a group of people who will come and sit down and discuss, and they will say what you have done this, you have not done this. You're forced into the category, and you are told that this or the work you're supposed to do. And if you do it well and good, they are happy. If you don't do it, they will again analyze why you're not doing it and all that. So that is forced distribution. But this is in a way good, because you will be learning a lot of things when you're put into other sorts of job. Okay, here the evaluator is asked to distribute the employees in some fixed categories of ratings, like a normal distribution curve. So here we will say, okay, manager, now sit down. Now you have 10 employees with you. Okay, now segregate these employees into 3 different categories: very good, neutral, very bad. Now the manager will say, okay, 1, 2 will go to very good, 3 is neutral, 4 is bad, again 5 is good. Like that, he will put them into the category. Okay, so that is forced distribution. Here, you are not considering any other factor. There are no exceptions. You just put them under some predetermined categories and rate them. So that is your forced distribution. Okay, so these are the last 3 methods of performance appraisal. Any doubts in the complete performance appraisal techniques? To just revise, we started performance appraisal with essay appraisal, where you will have to write about yourself, and they will help you in improving. Then ranking methods: if you rank 1 to 10 directly, it is straight ranking. If you compare each and every employee, it is paired comparison ranking. Then factor comparison method, you will have predetermined factors where you will put the employees under them. Then graphic rating scales is, you again have factors here, but it is more systematic than the factor comparison method. So that is graphic rating scales. Then field review method, you collect feedback from all the people except the employee, and then analyze it. Then group appraisal method, the whole of the group is analyzed and they are promoted to the next level. Next, force choice method, you are given a predetermined options where you have to only choose from them. You cannot put new options, or you cannot use too much of any open mind. Then checklist method, they will give checklist of how the work is to be done, and you have to follow the same thing, and you will be judged upon it. Then critical incident method is where they will create scenarios practically and observe your behavior and your approach towards the situation. And if it is good, if it is a success or failure, they will analyze it later. And that is very, very effective. And force distribution is, you are put under some category, like something like a good student, okay, above average student, below average student. Like that, you are forced to put into certain categories. So these are all the types of appraisal methods. Okay, I hope that is clear to everybody. Okay, fine. So this completes our RM syllabus.